Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of FPL Fanzone. My name's Nick, and with the deadline fast approaching, just hours away, I wanted to go through some last minute decisions and with a bit of fun. So we're going to have a look at what we're going to call It's a Trap. So using the whole meme from Star Wars, we're going to look at certain players from different price ranges and what that means. Are they a trap or are they a good buy? So we're going to look at different price ranges for a couple of reasons. The first one is that if you've got players in each of these price ranges, it gives you flexibility to move over the first couple of weeks as we start to find who's in form and grab some more data over those first couple of game weeks. So just keep that in mind as you're making that final decisions. Do you have sets of players in each of these types of price ranges, and are you picking the traps or are you picking the good buys? So if you're new around here, hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit that notification bell if you want updates throughout the season as I drop videos each and every game week. But without further ado, let's get started. Okay, let's kick off with the premiums. Obviously, there are two players that are significantly more expensive than everyone else. We all know who they are. Let's work out if they are a trap or if they are a good buy. So the two premiums this year are, of course, Mo Salah and Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland has had a price drop down to 14 million. Salah, a price rise up to 14.5. So he's now the most expensive player in the game. But given his performance last season, surely he deserves that top spot. The challenge with any premium is two things. First and foremost, if you have them in your team, you don't want to drop them because you just expect that they're going to get you points every week and you're looking for that next big haul. If you don't have them and they are hauling, you have to rip up your team to get them. You almost have to wildcard or take a 8 to 12 point hit to get them in your team, because you can't jump up 5 million. No one has that kind of money sitting in the bank as well. So premiums are a tough one. Last year I started with Salah, which was fine. I felt he was the right choice throughout the season, and that proved to be right. But Haaland absolutely destroyed me in the first 5 game weeks. And then when I bought him in, I waited another 5 game weeks before I let him go because he'd stopped scoring. So it's a tough one on that as well. But without further ado, which one have I suggested is a keep or a buy, and which one is a trap? And for me, Haaland is a trap. You can buy Watkins and Gyökeres for the same price as buying Haaland and Mark Yu, who's unlikely to play and is most likely to drop in price. Having Haaland in your team, he's been outscored by Watkins for the last 2 seasons alone, yet despite being 5 million more. And in my opinion, Haaland's first season in the Premier League was an anomaly due to the fact that Pep Guardiola had told the whole team that they had to put all opportunities through Haaland, especially at the start of that season. We have not seen that for the last 2 seasons, and I don't expect we're going to see it this season either. So for me, Haaland is massively overpriced and will not be in my starting team. Salah was phenomenal last year. Can he be the same again? Who knows? But he's been consistent for years and years and years now in the Premier League. Yes, there's a whole change up front for Liverpool, but for me, if I had to pick between the two or having both, it's Salah or neither for me. So Salah is a yes. Erling Haaland is a trap. Next up, let's have a look at what I like to call the top tier. So we're looking 9 million plus. And this only really applies to the attackers, forwards and midfielders. So let's have a look at what that looks like. So here I've just picked 6 players, 3 midfielders, 3 attackers that are 9 million plus. First and foremost, Bukayo Saka. Then we've got Cole Palmer. Then we've got Bruno Fernandes. Next up front, we've got Ollie Watkins, we've got Alexander Isak, and then we've got Victor Gyökeres. Let's have a look. Which ones are, in my opinion, a keep or a buy, and which ones are a trap? So for me, the two traps on here are Alexander Isak, because while he was the top forward scorer last year, there's a whole lot of drama going on at Newcastle at the moment. He's recently publicly come out and said he's never going to play for the club again. So right now, you can't buy Isak just because we don't know when he's going to start. He's certainly not going to play the first game of the season. So don't waste 10.5 million on him as well. The other trap that I've got here is Victor Gyökeres. And that's only because he's a brand new to the league. I'm a massive Arsenal fan. I really hope that he comes in and he has a huge league and a huge season and continues his same scoring form that he's had for Sporting over the last 2 years. But I just don't know from game week 1. Now, having said that, he's probably still going to be in my team because this year I want to play FPL as being excited to watch certain players play. I will obviously do a lot of stuff, and my videos will be based on the data and the analytics and everything else, but my personal team will look more on how I want to play and the types of players that I want to watch. There's also a doubt here on Bukayo Saka. He could potentially be a trap as well, in the fact that while he's listed on the Premier League's website as being the number 1 penalty taker, I wouldn't be surprised as an Arsenal fan if Gyökeres becomes the number 1 penalty taker. And if Saka loses his penalties, he becomes less valuable than the others around him. Cole Palmer, definitely on penalties. Bruno Fernandes, definitely on penalties. So Bukayo Saka at 10 million could be a trap if he loses penalties to Victor Gyökeres. But we don't know that at this stage. Right now, he's still the first choice penalty taker, according to the Premier League and FPL website. But that could change very, very quickly. So just a word of caution there. Saka could be a trap. Next up, let's start to look at mid-range players. And again, this price range between 7 and 9 million only applies to forwards and midfielders. Defenders don't really come in until about the 6 million mark. So right now, let's have a quick look at the mid-range players of 7 to 9 million and who are some of the players to avoid and who are players to target in this price range. So on this list, we've got Florian Wirtz, we've got Brian Mbeumo, we've got Anthony Gordon, we've got Jared Bowen up front, we've got Hugo Ekitike, and we've got Mateta from Crystal Palace as well. So I'm just going to give you a couple of seconds there. Which ones do you feel, and write them in the comments below, are traps, and which ones are good buys for this season? And here we go. So Florian Wirtz and Ekitike from Liverpool, for me, are traps. And the reason behind that is, yes, they're great players. Please don't think that anyone that I'm saying is a trap is not a good player in the Premier League. It's just that for the first couple of game weeks, new players coming into the league are very, very difficult to judge whether they're going to be boom or bust. And you could be spending an awful lot of money and not know what you're getting. To start the season, it's better to have players that you know consistently what you're going to be getting and where you're going to be getting it from. For many of you, Brian Mbeumo may also be a bit of a shock as a trap. He's obviously moved from Brentford to Manchester United in the off-season, but he's going to lose his penalties. So he was penalty taker for Brentford. He won't be penalty taker at Man United. That's going to take away a significant amount of his points that he scored last year. So he was actually the second highest scorer in midfield. I think he's going to need time to bed into that new team, into that new attack, get used to what Ruben Amorim is looking for. But also losing those 5 goals that he got from penalties last year is another 20 points, 25 points off his price straight away. He's also less likely to get the bonus points that he was getting at Brentford in that new look Manchester United attack as well. So for me, Brian Mbeumo, fantastic player. has been a brilliant FPL asset. It was really great for me last year in helping climbing back up those ranks to finish within the top 10%. But right now, for the start of the season, he's a trap. That's how I've got him. Next up, I've got Anthony Gordon. Now, he's actually yellow flagged at the moment, but it has got a 75% chance of playing. But I think here there's a real opportunity. He could be the number 9 for Newcastle. They don't have any other strikers on their books at the moment. Isak is having a hissy fit, a tantrum, call it what you like, but is refusing to play. They sold Wilson, or they released Wilson in the summer. So with all of the midfielders that they've got, they've bought in Elanga. They're talking about buying Eze. They're talking about buying more midfielders. Someone's got to move up front, and I just think Anthony Gordon may be that person for the start of the season. So he could be a real surprise, and I think a good shout for those as a bit of a differential. Of course, there is a doubt that he doesn't play. There are so many midfielders in that Newcastle lineup now, attacking players, that we're not sure what that rotation is going to look like. But for me, he could potentially be the number 9, and therefore it's a great shout. Next up is Jared Bowen. I've got him as a tick here, but you've also got to take into consideration he's changed position this year. So the points that he scored at the back end of last season, and he was in great goal scoring form, each one of those goals is going to be worth 1 point less because he's now registered as a forward for this season. He's also not getting the clean sheet points. Let's be honest, West Ham fans, you didn't get too many clean sheets last year, but I do think he's a good pick, though. You know what you're getting at 8 million. I think is the right sort of price for me, and that as well. And then last up, we've got Mateta. Had a really good pre-season, scoring lots of goals. I think he's going to be the talisman for Crystal Palace this season. So at 7.5 million, I think he's a great buy as well. But let me know in the comments below. Do you think I'm wrong? Is Florian Wirtz, Brian Mbeumo and Ekitike the way to go? For me, they're too much of a risk. Let me know what you think. Okay, so I am going to stick with forwards and attackers for now, and we're going to look at what I like to call the enablers range, that 5 million to 6.5 million, where you find those bargain buys that do well throughout the season. Last season, it was the likes of Jacob Murphy from Newcastle, Barnes as well. They had, just trying to think some of the others off the top of my head. Rodgers was fantastic for me from Aston Villa as well. So let's have a quick look at some of the enablers and see if there's any traps or if there's any sort of star buys in that space. So here are 6 players, 3 midfielders, 3 forwards as always. First and forward, Enzo Fernandez from Chelsea. Then we've got Lucas Paquetá from West Ham. And then we've got Daniel Marlon from Aston Villa. Up front we have Strand Larsen from Wolves. We have Delap, recently joined at Chelsea. And then we've got Richarlison from Tottenham. Let me know what you think here when you look at these. Who is your keeps or your buys? And who are your traps? For me, there's 3 traps on this list. The first one is Enzo. Last season, towards the back end of the season, when Cole Palmer was cold and not getting the returns, Enzo was getting those results and was getting stuff in. I just think that this year, although his price is an enabler price, I don't think that is going to continue. So don't be flattered by what you saw at the back end of last season. I think it is a bit of a trap. There are better options for Chelsea players. They've got a great run of fixtures at the start of the season. I just don't think he's going to get you the attacking returns to make it worthwhile for him. Next up is Lucas Paquetá. And as a penalty taker, I was listed as the number 1 penalty taker for West Ham. He could be a lovely little enabler. He's not very highly owned, and so he could be a real differential in your team. And then the next one in the midfielders is Daniel Marlon. So last year, Rodgers was the player to pick from Aston Villa. And of course, Watkins did very well and outscored Haaland, for example. But in this pre-season, we've seen Marlon really come into his own and get goals and assists. So, and the buzz around from Aston Villa fans that he could be the Rodgers of this season. So I'm really excited. I think he could be a fantastic little pick, a bit of a differential to help free up some of those funds for some of those more premium players elsewhere in the squad as well. Next up, Strand Larsen, just a good pick. Wolves are going to struggle a little bit this year. I think obviously they've lost Cunha to Man United, so I think there's a little bit of that attacking flair has gone from that team. But I do think that he brings his own brand of football in terms of scoring goals, and at his price, I think he's really nicely priced at 6.5 million. So for me, certainly someone that I think is an enabler in that front line as well. Next up is Liam Delap, and I talked about him in one of my previous videos in the pre-season. I was really excited when he went to Chelsea. I thought, hang on a second, we've got someone here who scored, he's come from Man City, went to a newly promoted side last year and continued to score goals, then would have a chance in that Chelsea attack. The problem is, a week later, they bought João Pedro. So I think Delap is just not going to get the game time this year. As much as I'd love him to, I just think João Pedro is going to get the lion's share of those minutes, and therefore he is a trap. And then last one for me, just as a general rule, most Tottenham players I see as a trap. They finished 17th in the league last season. They were not great. They've got a new manager in. They've done well in pre-season. They've beaten Arsenal. They were unlucky to lose in the Super Cup a couple of days ago as well. But Richarlison is just flat as to deceive. He doesn't really ever get more than sort of 10 goals in a season. And while his price does reflect that, I just do not think that he is someone that I would have in my team. So for me, he's a trap. Okay, then let's kick this on to the defenders. And this is obviously an interesting part this season, given the new defensive contributions and how they're going to have an impact on players' points, especially defenders. I think there's going to be a lot more defender points this year, and there should be some good options. So premium defenders, 5.5, 6 million. Let's have a look and see what that looks like. So here, first up, I've got Pedro Porro. For me, that Tottenham defence was appalling last year. I know that was under Ange Postecoglou, who was an all-out attack kind of manager. And I do think that Thomas Frank is going to have a much stronger defence. But Pedro Porro, we talked about all of his attacking turns last season and the season before. Last season, we just didn't really see it. And I just don't see it again this year. Tottenham do have a good early run of fixtures as well. But for me, I just think it's a trap. It was a trap last year. I fell into it a couple of times, and I don't want to make the same mistake again. So for me, Tottenham defenders in general are an avoid. I think their attacking line has a lot of promise, but their defenders, for me, Pedro Porro specifically, is certainly a trap. Gvardiol up next. Top scoring defender last season at 6 million. His price hasn't changed. His defensive contributions are not great compared to some of the others on this list, but also he's likely to now move inside more as a central defender, so maybe that will up his number of defensive contributions. He does get attacking returns, he does manage to get into the box, he does manage to get goals on that side, so I still think he's a great option at 6 million. Next up, we've got Kirkez, moved from Bournemouth to Liverpool. Just for me, it's too early to know what that Liverpool defence is going to look like. Obviously, they've replaced both wing-backs with Frimpong and Kirkez coming in. Are we going to get Trent Alexander-Arnold numbers from Kirkez? I don't think so. And at 6 million, I'm just not entirely sure that what we're going to get. So for me, it's a bit of a trap this early on in the season. He may turn out to be an absolutely fantastic asset later on in the season, but right now, it's just too much of a risk for me. The next up, here I've got Milenkovic, but you could also have Murillo in this spot as well, both at 5.5 million. The Nottingham Forest defence, I think, is a bit of a cheat code this year. They play counter-attacking football. So they sit at the back, they get blocks, they get tackles, they get interceptions. And the defensive contributions from both Murillo and Milenkovic are really, really good and could potentially give them an extra 50 or 60 points this year, depending on what happens. And if they keep those clean sheets like they did last year, I think it was 12 clean sheets for Nottingham Forest, could be absolutely game changers for those guys. And at 5.5 million, so coming in under the premiums, I think both of Milenkovic and Murillo could be great options for this year. I've got Gabriel as a tick, but actually I think he might be a trap. When I look at it and when I think about Gabriel, we talk about his goal contributions, and yes, he had some injuries last season, didn't play the full season, but he didn't really continue to have that same sort of goal threat in the back half of the season when he came back. Arsenal have a good, strong defence. They do not concede a huge amount of goals, so clean sheets will be a factor. But in terms of defensive contributions, because Arsenal press so high up the field, a lot of the time they're not doing a lot of that sort of defensive work to get those defensive contributions, are certainly not enough to get 10 a game. So for me, he's going to score points, he'll get clean sheets, and he'll get the odd goal, but he maybe not get the same defensive contribution points, and that may impact his value. So at 6 million, I still think he's a good buy, but he may not be a superstar on that as well. And then lastly, here I've got Reece James, who is almost the meme of the trap himself. He always flatters deceives. A couple of seasons back, he was phenomenal in terms of his attacking returns, in terms of Chelsea's defence. Last couple of seasons, he has been injury prone. He'll come back for a couple of games, look good, and then be injured again and then lay off. So for me, Reece James is a trap. No surprise there on that one. Okay, let's have a quick look at the 5 million defenders and where we sit with those as well. So first up, we have Colwill. Next up, we have Lacroix from Crystal Palace. Then we have Anthony Robinson with his 10 assists last season. No goals, but 10 assists, which is phenomenal for a defender. We've got Collins from Brentford. We've got De Ligt from Man United, and then Kieran Trippier from Newcastle as well. Where do you guys think they sit? Which ones are potential buys? Which ones are traps? You've nailed it. Absolutely. Colwill is actually red flagged. He's going to be out. There's an unknown return date on that as well. So certainly a trap. I know there was a lot of talk and potentially about getting him, especially with Chelsea's fixtures over the first sort of 10 games. I think only playing one of the top 6 in the first 10. Then we've got Lacroix. His defensive contributions last year were really, really good and will be a game changer. At 5 million, I think he's an absolute steal this season as long as he continues to do the same thing. Crystal Palace, very much like Nottingham Forest, do a lot of work defensively, and then obviously get the goals to at the other end to try and get some points. So Lacroix for me is a good buy for that as well. Anthony Robinson is again injured at the moment, so while he looks great, he's certainly someone that I'll look at later on in the season, but right now with an injury and a red flag, he is a trap. Collins from Brentford, again another defensive contribution monster from last season. I think there could be these defensive contribution points will make a big difference over the course of the season, while there only could potentially be a maximum of an extra 2 points a week. I just do think that there is, realistically for these players at this sort of price range, could be an extra 40 to 50 points if they're getting these points consistently throughout the season. With De Ligt, I think this is a graphical error. I was meant to put a trap there. I just don't like the Manchester United defence. I think Onana concedes goals a lot. I don't think they've really strengthened in the defence. They spent a lot of money strengthening their attack this season. I'm just a bit concerned around Manchester United. So for me, it is a trap. And the same with Kieran Trippier. 2 seasons ago, phenomenal. He was on set pieces, he was getting goals, Newcastle defence was solid. Last season, barely touched the ball. It looks like he was going to go in the preseason. He didn't. He stuck around. He kind of lost his place to Livramento and hasn't really ever sort of won it back securely, at least. So for me, Kieran Trippier, if you look back historically, has been phenomenal as an FPL asset. But for this season, I think he's a trap. Okay, so to just round this off, let's have a look at some general rules that I would say are traps to avoid for game week 1 in Premier League. So general rules for game week 1. These are the traps that you want to avoid. Newly promoted teams. They never, especially over the last couple of seasons, have always struggled. It's difficult to identify who they are. Yes, you can pick cheap players that are going to play every minute, but they're not going to get you points. They're not going to win you your leagues. They're a trap. They may be enablers, maybe as your fourth person on your bench. 4 million defenders, exactly the same thing. You're not going to get points from a 4 million defender that's going to help you win your leagues. So don't hope that you will. It's the same with 4.5 million forwards. There's only one in the game that could potentially be, and that's Guiu, who has joined Sunderland from Chelsea. He could potentially be their first, their starting striker at 4.5 million. But again, as an enabler, that's fine. But realistically, with that attacking line, you do want to have the ability to rotate that through. So having a 4.5 million forward is a trap. And then last but not least, players that are new to the Premier League, players that have moved to new teams. We don't really know how they're going to gel into those new systems. We don't know how they're going to perform with in the Premier League. How have they adjusted moving to a new country, for example. So when you're it's not to say that they're not a good player. It's just when you start in game week 1, you're taking a real gamble as to whether or not they're going to boom or bust. So sometimes it's best just to pick the players that you know are going to play 90 minutes, that are going to be good, consistent goals, point scorers throughout the first couple of game weeks, and then allow you to pivot to those new players that you're starting to see have hit the ground running as well. Also, guys, let me know in the comments below, are there any other general rules, any other traps to avoid for game week 1? We're getting close to the deadline. Drop them in the comments. Let me know, because I'm still finalising my final team. And lastly, the one rule to rule them all when looking at game week 1 decisions for your fantasy Premier League. FPL Fanzone. Everything I say is based on my opinions. I look at the data, I watch other content creators, I watch all the preseason games, I watch as much football as I can. But just as a heads up, FPL Fanzone is a trap. Once again, everyone, thank you very much for watching FPL Fanzone. My name is Nick, and I look forward to continue creating content for you throughout the season. If you're new around here and you've got this far into the video, hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit notification bell for updates on videos that are coming out. It's free to do, but it really does help the channel out. Let's see if we can get to 500 subscribers this season. Thanks again for watching, and may all of your arrows be green.